Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senators Gianaris and Jordan, for your remarks. About 60 or so years ago, Edith Hamilton wrote, "We think and feel differently because of what a little Greek town did during a century or two, 2,400 years ago." This year, we are celebrating the 201st anniversary of Greece's independence after 400 years of subjugation and slavery by the Ottoman Empire. On March 25, 1821, revolutionary fighters gathered together with Metropolitan Yedmanos in the monastery of Agia Lavra in the village of Kalavitra and declared the beginning of the revolution against Ottoman oppression. What followed was a 7-year war that ended with the creation of the Hellenic Republic and would lead to the spread of revolutionary fervor across the European continent and help remake the world. As a fourth-generation Greek American, I am incredibly proud of this history. I think about the words of the Greek national anthem, the Hymn to Liberty by Dionysios Solomos. "I shall always recognize you by the dreadful sword you hold, as the earth with searching vision you survey with spirit bold. From the Greeks of old whose dying brought to life and spirit free, now with ancient valor rising, let us hail you, O liberty." Every time I hear that anthem, and I've heard it a lot as someone who went to Greek school for 10 years, I swell with pride at that poem's conclusion, a resounding ode to the price and cost of national freedom. How fitting is it to reflect on these words as we see the people of Ukraine fight for the survival of their country, of their history, and paying for their liberty with their lives. It's not just the history of the revolution and Greece's independence that I'm proud to celebrate today. It is the contributions of the Greek American community to our nation that are also worthy of praise and celebration. For the past 100+ years, Greeks have emigrated to the United States in search of peace, stability, and a better life for themselves and their families. They came to escape the persecutions of the Ottoman Empire. They came to be spared the devastations of World War I. They came to be saved from the terrors of the Asia Minor Holocaust and the burning of Smyrna. They came to be spared the horrors of World War II. They came to find peace during the Greek Civil War. They came to seek the safety and opportunity during the unrest of the 60s and 70s. They came to find economic prosperity during the stagnation of the 80s. For 100+ years, Greeks have sought out the light of freedom offered by Lady Liberty and came to the United States in the hope of a better life. They came here by the thousands, and they came here by the tens of thousands. They came here legally, and yes, they came here illegally. When the United States adopted immigration quotas in 1924, we would only accept 100 immigrants from Greece a year, and yet still, Greeks would come over by the thousands. And let's not forget just how unwanted Greeks were when they arrived in this country. Greek immigrants endured decades of harassment, intimidation, discrimination, and violence, all because they looked different than other Americans, spoke a language different than other Americans, and took low-paying jobs away from other Americans. In fact, the Ku Klux Klan viewed Greek immigrants as a threat to the existence of the United States. They attacked Greek businesses, burned crosses on Greek lawns, encouraged doctors to sterilize Greek women, and beat, and even in some cases murdered, Greek immigrants. All across the country, Greek immigrants and Greek American citizens were discriminated against and harassed. It was not uncommon to see "No Greeks Wanted" signs in store windows, or even the flogging of Greek men who have dared to date a white woman. Greek immigrants were encouraged to prove themselves of being equal to their white counterparts by taking dirty jobs, such as building railroads, cleaning sewage, laying pavement, and working in factories. Yet they still came, enduring injustice after injustice, all in the hopes of a better life here. They didn't come here because they were highly educated, worked great jobs, or spoke perfect English. They didn't come just for themselves, but for their children and their children's children. They came here so that one day, 100 years later, 75 years later, 50 years later, there could be 4 Greek Americans elected to serve their community in this august body. And so as we stand here today celebrating the 201st anniversary of Greek independence and declare Greek History Month in the state of New York, I am ever hopeful for the future of our community here in America. And this moment represents an opportunity for reflection. At a time when individuals across our country are being subjected to violence, bigotry, and discrimination because they come from a different country, speak a different language, have different customs, eat different foods, it is incumbent upon us, those of us whose ancestors endured similar treatment, to stand up and condemn the ugliness of racism wherever it rears its head. That we remember the struggles of our forefathers, and we open our hands, and we open our doors, and we open our hearts to all those whose stories mirror our own and say, come, you are welcome here. Zito Elas. Thank you, Mr. President.